Yeah. Yeah.
Souris.
Instead
Say
of
la souris.
Souris.
It's because I think the thing is I've never thought of the French R as something difficult.
No, because you've been saying it all your life.
But I mean, even when I consider even when I consider, other languages and stuff that are difficult, and even in French, I know that there are some words, some letters, some things that are difficult, but the R, for some reason, it never really seemed like, occurred to me that it was.
I don't think it's necessarily hard.
It's just different.
It's difficult to get your mouth to say that when you're thinking R.
Right. Like every time you see it, you're like, oh, let me do it the right way. It would be like someone saying the instead of za. Like they know how to do it. It's just it just doesn't feel natural.
Because the French R is just a kind of a right?
Well, like my name in French is like
Sarah.
Yeah. So it's like it's a completely different name.
And then in Spanish you roll the R's. That's a whole different take. Nobody does the R's the same. We need standardization.
Right.
Or standardization. We
should really have one language. That would make things so much easier.
That's the big announcement today that we've been leading up to. All future episodes of Daily Tech News Show will be in Esperanto.
That was a failure.
Finally, we can all. What do you mean?
Don't give up on it yet, Patrick.
Esperanto. It was a superb failure.
Tell that to the Esperanto fanatics out there.
I don't think there are many left.
I don't think there are many left. Are there still people who?
Sure.
Oh, believe me, if they're out there, we'll hear from them.
Okay.
I want to see Esperanto meetup. Searching for that.
It just felt like it was something that was discussed in like the 80s or 90s, and that I didn't hear about it all that much since.
I want there to be like Esperanto ethnic food, which is like kind of just the average of all food.
No, that's not how it should work. We should have like the best of everything.
Guys,
where's the Esperanto aisle?
I can't talk to you about Esperanto food if I'm not going to go get Esperanto food right after the show.
It just makes you so hungry to go to that Esperanto restaurant.
According to Wikipedia, there's an estimated 2 million level 2 second language.
See?
2 million.
See?
I guess they are out there.
That's not even a drop. That's less than a drop of a planet of 7 billion.
We should probably do this show.
Oh, okay. In English then.
In English.
Okay.
And Sarah, do you mind reading the first line, please?
Not at all.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2.
Daily Tech News Show is powered by you. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, November 14th, 2017 from DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline at the beach, I'm Sarah Lane.
And from the Helsinki offices, I'm Patrick Beja.
And with us, of course, is our producer, Roger Chang, deep below northern Los Angeles. I don't know where I was going with that. Hi, Roger.
Hello.
I wanted to make it sound like you were in a bat cave or something, but
I wish.
Just fell apart. We are going to talk about why EA has the most downvoted comment ever on Reddit. And the answer is not just because people are angry, although that's part of it. We're going to talk about why they're angry. Let's start, however, with a few tech things you should know. Google is introducing support for the broadcast feature to Google Home users. That's the one that lets you broadcast a message over all your Google Home devices, using it like an intercom, something the Amazon Echo can also do. Broadcast is rolling out this week in English in the UK, Australia, Canada, and the United States.
Guys, we have a death to announce, a death of sorts anyway. Verizon's Oath, which is the combined AOL Yahoo company that put together earlier this year, announced that the last vestiges of Compuserve forums will be shut down December 15th. Compuserve was launched in the 1980s and acquired by AOL back in, remember, 1998.
To Compuserve. Pour a little out.
Pour out a little kombucha.
Yeah, pour out a little whatever they drank in 1998.
It wasn't kombucha.
Responding to an Ad Age report that Amazon was considering launching a free ad-supported version of Amazon Prime Video, an Amazon spokesperson told The Verge, "We have no plans to create a free ad-supported version of Prime Video."
Wait, let's parse this.
What do you think he means?
Yeah, how do we put together a non-negative statement in a way that's very vague?
That means they've already launched it. No.
That means they're doing it now.
Yeah, so there you go. No plans. That's not going to happen. Sorry, folks. Let's move on into the rest of the top stories. Firefox 57 and I are in love.
Oh, Tom, I'm so happy to hear that.
I call it Quantums. That's my little pet name for it. Firefox 57, aka Firefox Quantum, is out for all users Tuesday. Features the slick, minimalist Proton UI, a new CSS engine written in Rust that works in parallel across cores for faster browsing, and Google also replaces Yahoo as the default search engine. Mozilla says it should be about twice as fast as Firefox was a year ago. Now, we all have varying experiences on this depending on what machines we're using, but I definitely found it snappier, faster, and easier to use.
Well, earlier today, Tom, you were the one who was like, this is a good browser. And it's funny because I've been having so much trouble with Chrome lately, and particularly because I use so many files within Google Drive and various Gmail accounts. It was like, you know, if anything, Chrome should be good at, it's that stuff. And it's been really sluggish. And the new Firefox Quantum was pretty snappy, I have to say.
I wanted to say that I'm using Quantum right now to stream the show, except Hangouts requires a plugin in Firefox that Firefox no longer supports. So all is not roses there. But I am reading my doc in Firefox 57 right now. Patrick, are you going to get on this train?
I'm very happy with Chrome. I don't think it's become sluggish. And the integration with Google services is certainly appreciated. But I will give it a try. I mean, I'm certainly old enough to remember the browser wars and the fact that competition gave us better browsers. So I'm willing to give it a chance, but I don't think I'm going to switch just because of convenience.
You don't need to settle, Patrick. You know, it's the sunk cost fallacy. Chrome.
I'll try it.
Chrome doesn't.
Chrome was such a great browser for me for so long, and even a few years ago, people would sort of complain, it's a memory hog, and I'd be like, no, I don't really have that experience.
Yeah,
but I really have over the last, I would say, 3 to 4 months.
So I think the thing that helps me is that I rarely have more than a handful of tabs open. And I'm not one of those people that leaves, 30 tabs open and that forgets about them for 4 days. So I think that might be why.
Yeah. Wow. I only have 16 tabs open minimum at a time. Also, somebody in our Slack said a lot of their extensions were not working in Firefox 57. So depending on what extensions you use, that may or may not be an issue.
Well, I have some good news for anybody following the VR game. HTC announced its standalone VR headset called the Vive Focus. Runs on a Snapdragon 835 processor, uses inside-out positional tracking to offer 6 degrees of movement. The company didn't announce screen resolution or price or release date, though it did say it would launch first in China. HTC has also canceled plans to bring a standalone Google Daydream-based headset to the US.
Now, this is big news for a couple of reasons. One is because HTC coming with a standalone headset is sort of leading the pack. Facebook has announced it for Oculus. Of course, that could all turn if HTC doesn't end up releasing this in a timely fashion. But I think even bigger news is that they're pulling out of that Daydream project and focusing on China for the release of this.
Yeah.
That's a big shift in market focus.
So I didn't get this, but do we know if it's going to be compatible with Vive applications, with the regular Vive applications in games?
One would have to assume that it might.
I mean, it would. You'd have to put out a whole other release explaining why it didn't do that if it didn't.
Right, but I guess the thing is, Vive is famously associated with Valve and Steam and games. And that will be really interesting to see how well it performs with those applications, which I'm guessing it's not designed for. And they will say this is not for high, computing intensive applications, which game usually or often fall into. But still, it would be interesting to see how well it works with them.
I would not guess that every Vive compatible game will work with the Vive Focus, just because it's a different setup. But that's an interesting question to see how they handle it.
Following the claims of spoofing Face ID with a mask by security firm Kava, Wired reports several people have reported children being able to unlock their parents' phone using Face ID. Ataullah Malik and Sena Sherwani discovered that their son Amar could unlock his mom's phone and not his phone's mom. His mother re-registered her face in different lighting conditions, and Amar could no longer unlock it. And then she re-registered it in the original lighting conditions, and he could unlock them again. So there are some things happening there.
Yeah, it sounds like one of the things with Face ID is you're going to want to guard the face and get it trained over time, because what happened with her is in a particular lighting, the signals that it used for her were close enough to her son that her son could unlock it, and it would start to learn, if that was successful, that, oh, and that's what she looks like sometimes, right? And the AI will start to merge those. That happened with a couple of brothers they mentioned in this Wired article as well, where they think that maybe what happened was the brothers kept switching off unlocking it, and the phone started to merge the picture of the two brothers, even though they were quite a bit far apart in age, and it would work with both of them over time. They were close enough at the beginning that it just created a merged picture. So these are interesting permutations on how this works.
And it's also the one that was unlocked with a mask. They seem to indicate that the system focuses on some portions, some parts of the face, maybe the eyes, the nose, the mouth. So the fact that the son had a smaller face and maybe didn't really look all that much like his mom overall, the fact that some parts of the face might resemble hers might be a factor here. And also, Apple did say Touch ID worked, it might be fooled once every 50,000 people, and Face ID should be much safer because it's 1 in a million. But still, over the entire planet, it might happen that once in a million, the system is, just makes a mistake. And it might be what we're seeing here. Certainly, we need to learn more about this, but it does seem like for most people, it's still not going to be the most, it's not like everyone should worry that their child will unlock their Face ID phone.
Although, when the, a couple stories first came out where it was like, hey, if you're identical twins, Face ID might get nervous and confused. I sort of chuckled like, okay, who's that really going to apply to? But if you think of, some kids really do look a lot like their parents. And if, a kid is trying to get into their parents' phone to buy a bunch of stuff or, other things that kids like doing, I can see where this could be a little bit more problematic than just a, sort of a novel error here and there.
Yes, because the accidental unlock in a fingerprint is someone whose fingerprint just happens to be close to yours, which isn't usually genetically related. You don't have similar fingerprints to your mother, but your face definitely is genetically linked to your mother or your father, right? So
yeah, so it's like if it's 1 in a million for a random person, but 1 in 1,000 for related people or children and parents, 1 in 1,000 is going to happen a lot. That becomes all of a sudden more of a problem. So
at the American Heart Association meetings in Anaheim, the University of California, San Francisco, and health startup Cardiogram released details of a study showing that Apple Watch data, although they say we use the Apple Watch in the study, this is the same kind of heart rate monitoring data you could get from other wearables as well. Anyway, watch data could be used to detect sleep apnea with 90% accuracy and hypertension, high blood pressure, with 82% accuracy. The study used data from more than 6,000 Apple Watch users enrolled in a study on mobile health, a deep learning algorithm called Deep Heart, was trained on data from 70% of the participants and then tested on the remaining 30%. So they helped it get used to what hypertension or sleep apnea looked like in 70% of the study's participants, and then we're able to do a pretty good prediction on the rest of them.
It feels like it's something fairly impactful for Apple's business, or for any such device's business. But of course, Apple is at the center of this. If they manage to get this integrated somehow with an opt-in, with the right authorization and everything integrated into their watch product, all of a sudden, the watch becomes not just use it for this or that, but just keep it on you just in case. And it will tell you in those instances if something is wrong. And I think that's a compelling argument to have it on.
Yeah, I actually, when I went to the doctor last week, as I was wrapping up my appointment, I was like, hey, I don't know if this makes any difference to you, but I got this Apple Watch now. I mean, is that anything that you could look at? Kind of half expecting her to say, you know, that's great. It'll help you motivate you for your health, and just sort of, you know, pass it along. She was like, oh yeah, let me look, and like pulled up my activities, looking through my report. She's like,
really?
oh, okay, so you really do have 30 minutes of activity. Like, you know, let me see your heart rates. Like, she was way into it. So I think that's pretty cool.
I mean, this is just an Apple Watch being able to say, you probably have sleep apnea.
You might want to check it out. There's a 90% chance you have sleep apnea. Yeah.
Right. It's like, I could tell you that if I lay next to you. I know what it sounds like.
Well, maybe, you know, not all of us are lucky enough, right?
Certainly not. Hey, you guys want to talk about some new rumors for iPhones for next year, since the new iPhones for this year just came out?
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah, okay, sources told Bloomberg that Apple is readying a rear-facing 3D sensor system for the iPhone for the 2019 models, which would be different than the true depth sensor system on the front of the iPhone 10, which currently relies on a structured light technique that projects a pattern of 30,000 laser dots onto a user's face and then measures the distortion to create an accurate 3D image. Just talked about that. This would not be that, though. It would be a time of flight approach that calculates the time it takes for a laser to bounce off surrounding objects to create a three-dimensional picture of the environment.
Yeah. So the AR kit is really good at flat surfaces. You know, I could pop that tiger down in the middle of my living room, and boy, it looks like there's a tiger in the middle of my living room or on my coffee table. As soon as I try to put it on the wall, though, first of all, the tiger's like, I don't belong on a wall. That's gravitationally incorrect. But no, anything like that you try to put on vertical surfaces just doesn't work as well. So I assume that using time of flight, which is able to more accurately map a room, would help with that.
And they're working on that AR headset as well. So
yep,
maybe that would be helpful there too.
Yeah, so you can map your room and then go into it in your headset and be like, whoa, I'm virtually in the room I'm in.
Well, yes, that would be awesome. But also, I'm guessing they would put that sensor on the headset itself so it can map stuff and put stuff on the stuff.
Probably makes more sense.
I'm just excited for everyone to get over animojis. Because that's a thing.
Think,
you know, I get a lot of texts of those. And every time someone sends it to me, it's like, this is going to be so funny. And I'm like,
it's a thing for people the first day they get their new iPhone 10.
So people are still getting their iPhone 10, so you're still getting an emoji.
That's right. Rite of passage.
Y'all be getting emojis later today. To get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. You can get it as a podcast on the Amazon Echo or in the Anchor app, as well as from Google Home. And that's a look at the top stories. Star Wars Battlefront 2 from EA had some downloadable content you could unlock with in-game credits that you could either accumulate by playing the game, which is what it's meant to be done, or by a somewhat tortured route of buying crystals that allow you to buy loot boxes, which have star cards that when you have a duplicate of them, you can turn those into credits. So through a little bit of a convoluted process, you could sort of buy credits and buy these things. People didn't like that, to the point that an EA post about it on Reddit became the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. Patrick, why everybody so mad?
This is a very complicated issue, but I'll try to boil it down to its essential parts. The first one is, gamers can be a rowdy bunch.
Sure.
And the internet is also happy to complain about stuff. So when there is something that is worthy of complaints, certainly people get excited. The issue comes first and foremost from the mechanic or the business model of loot boxes, which have been very prevalent in mobile games for a long time. And real gamer, I'm using air quotes here, basically console and PC gamers are very wary of seeing that business model become become used more widely on console games. And
so
PC
this is
games.
not just an EA thing. People are mad about loot boxes already.
Right. This is
Okay.
the core of the problem, loot boxes. And the reason is, there is an element of randomness, the fact that you cannot actually go in and purchase the item you want. You have to buy a lot of loot boxes and then hope that you get the thing, or then convert them into credits and then buy the thing. But it might take a lot more money actually than if you could purchase the item for $5. Then you might have to spend, 15 or 20 bucks in loot boxes to get that item. The other issue is that in that game, specifically in many games, but the loot boxes give you gameplay advantages. So loot boxes that give you items that allow you to dress up your character don't affect the actual skill you have to put into the game. And so that is more accepted than things that change the way you play. So for example, it will allow you to aim more precisely or things like that. And that is something gamers really don't like because it becomes pay to win, kind of.
So in Battlefront, I could spend a lot of time playing to earn that more powerful lightsaber, but then Joe Schmo down the street just paid $50 in loot boxes and got one without having to grind
But
it out.
isn't that like
Essentially.
such a standard part of gaming these days?
It isn't. That's the surprising thing.
It must
in
be
mobile,
more of like a mobile game thing, because all the
Yes.
mobile games that I play, I'm always incentivized to buy little packages to make myself better at playing the game.
and that is part of the reason why people are so wary about it. Mobile games have been making so much money that we kind of know that there's a real danger of seeing this happen in console and PC games. And people have been fearing the moment that it would happen. And a lot of developers have been playing with this idea and implementing some forms of loot boxes, especially on the Activision Blizzard side, where the loot boxes have been more acceptable, usually because either the game was free to play to begin with, or it was more cosmetic items that you could get that wouldn't affect the gameplay. The cardinal sin of Star Wars Battlefront 2 is that not only there are three things basically. You pay for the game initially, full price. The loot boxes affect the gameplay and not just cosmetic items. And it's a multiplayer game. So not only are you gonna get better to get through the solo campaign, but also you're gonna get better when you play against other people. And the last part of it is truly, even when I try to be a little bit reserved, find it a little bit outrageous. There were special characters that you can play at some points of the matches, and the most powerful ones are Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, of course. And the prices in credits for those characters were incredibly high, to the point that one person who made the calculations for the amount of time you would have to play to be able to purchase them with the credits in game currency would probably be around 40 hours. 40 hours of game time to be able to purchase one special character. And maybe some people don't know much about games, but this is a really long time for a game that you've paid full price. So yesterday, the game is not out yet, even. It's coming out in a couple of days. Yesterday, seeing the outrage, because people have had early access to the game, seeing the outrage, EA went in and cut down the prices of those characters by 75%. Again, only in-game money, the credits, can allow you to purchase them. So
making them cheaper for the people buying loot boxes. Good for EA.
Well, I mean, making it more accessible, even if you're playing, because when you're playing, you can earn some credits. And then it comes down to a little bit less, more manageable. But the fact that they went in and made those characters, because everything is calculated, of course, you know more or less how long it's going to take if you only play the game as opposed to if you buy loot boxes. Making it about 40 hours to get those characters is ludicrous. Like, one of those characters was 40 hours. That's what really set people off to get on that Reddit thread and downvote that comment even more than...
speaking of Reddit, isn't it a little crazy that this is the most downvoted thing on Reddit in Reddit's history? Reddit is known for all sorts of inflammatory comments, good and bad, that like spawn internet memes. And I guess it sort of speaks to the fact that a lot of people who care about video games are on Reddit.
It does. And it's also something that I think the entire gaming community is rallying behind, which is kind of rare. Oftentimes you see these controversies and you have people for and against. I think you'll be hard-pressed finding people that are saying, yes, this is a great thing. Some of the arguments that do make sense are things like games haven't, the prices of games have remained the same for the past 30 years. 30 years ago, a game cost $60. That's still the price today. And games are a lot more expensive to...
I know that people like to play with that as a justification, but frankly, companies going to charge as much as they can, and they should. They should be able to make as much money on the thing as they can. They should only be able to charge for the things that people are willing to pay for. And I think that gets to the crux of what's going on here, is people saying, well, hold on, you're charging me to play the game, essentially, by saying, well, if you pay for this thing and do this other thing, you'll be able to get to that character a whole lot faster. And by the way, you're going to have to play the game against people who've done that. So you kind of have to play. They feel like they don't have a choice of whether they can buy it or not if they want to play the game. And I think that's where companies like Blizzard have avoided this controversy, because they only sell items that don't affect gameplay. As soon as it doesn't affect gameplay, you still may get people rubbed the wrong way by this or that and jealous because someone can afford to buy an outfit that they would like to have, but you can still win at the game without having to spend extra money.
It honestly just reminds me of like outfits in 8th grade, right? Like the cooler outfit, like, sort of like it maybe would get you to, a place that the less cool outfit wouldn't. It's, of course, a company would want it to affect gameplay. That means you're going to buy it more often.
Yeah, but in this case, I really don't think this is, maybe that's what it looks like from the outside, but there's really this confluence of all of the three things. It's almost like, if Apple sold you an iPhone 10 and then charged you for the ability to make phone calls, it's like it's like, to give an equivalent.
That's not. This is cosmetic stuff, wouldn't you say?
Oh, no. Not in the case of Battlefront 2.
That's the problem. With EA, yes, exactly. They're charging for things that make it easier for you to play the game.
And
okay, all right. So if my iPhone was like, hey, here's a $1,100 phone, thank you for buying it. Now, if you want to make calls that work all the time, it's going to be another.
Yeah, if you want good call quality, you can either make 50 calls a day and we'll give you better call quality, or you can pay us and then we'll give you better.
And also, just to finish up, EA has a reputation for slimy practices. Some companies are more consumer friendly than others. That's even in the world of business. It sometimes happens. EA has a long history of not having their consumers' best interest at heart. And this also feels more dirty because it's Star Wars, which is a license that a lot of people are very attached to. So they kind of make a calculation that people are going to buy it and pay for these things anyway, which I understand plays into, it's a little bit predatory, I guess is what I'm trying to get to.
The long and the short of it is, when you pay people to do better in a game, when you make people pay to do better in a game than their competitors after you've already charged them, it's not going to go down well. And
it's like the steroids of video gaming.
Yeah.
And especially in this very overt way. Loot boxes are kind of here to stay, it feels like, but the balance still has to be struck. And this is an instance of where they went way overboard. So the reaction is hopefully going to bring them back closer to the balance.
Yeah, or just make it more straightforward. Like, don't make me buy jars to buy cards to buy, if you're gonna just make it pay to play, put it right there on Front Street.
Then you understand how it works, and you don't pay as much.
Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/dailytechnewsshow. Let's check in to see what's in the mailbag, Sarah.
TG Stellar, who says is in suddenly freezing North Jersey. I've heard it's very cold on the East Coast this week. Says, hello, Tom, Sarah, Patrick, Roger, and the gang. The Economist ran a story this week about a randomized scientific study of the impact of news stories published on Twitter on the topics and opinions discussed on Twitter. Here's the summary. A story published by a newspaper and then tweeted is followed by a 10% increase in discussion of that topic during the following week, or about 13,000 more tweets. The study involved pretty small newspapers. It wasn't like the New York Times or the Washington Post. It was more kind of smaller regional stuff. Also, the proportion of tweets agreeing with the opinionated perspective of the article increased by 2%, more than we usually see during presidential debates, for example. I bring this to your attention because it's the first example, at least one that I'm aware of scientists trying to determine the impact of one source of content on a broad social media network. The kind of study would have a lot to say about the impact of, say, ads purchased by the Russian sources for the 2016 election, an impact you rightly say has not really been measured, not effectively anyway, even though politicians assume it's a big deal, and Silicon Valley assumes that it doesn't matter. Well, obviously, there are some nuances to that argument, but interesting point to kind of follow one source of news and see really how things get inflated.
This is the first step in actually coming up with a reasonable question of what happened, which is to say, what effect is there? Is there an effect worth examining of small sources? So I love this. I love that they're saying, yeah, there's definitely more discussion of it. So the next step in a well-designed study is to say, okay, let's try to come up with a double-blind study, or as close of approximation as we can, to say, does the discussion of these points in these sources cause a higher index of discussion or belief in them? Like this is great. Thank you, TG Stellar, for sending that.
Stay warm.
By the way, now through November 20th, $20 of any purchase of Len's custom holiday greeting cards goes directly to his family. Michael and Laura Schmidt. Mike is Len's brother-in-law, was recently diagnosed with leukemia. He's the sole breadwinner for their family. And so Len's trying to help him out a little by donating a portion of the commission of Len's holiday greeting cards. And every little bit helps. So consider getting drawn by Len for the holidays. I have done it before. He makes great cards. I've had him draw my dogs and send him out his greeting cards. I've had him send out his Christmas cards. So if you want to do that anyway, you're helping out Len. And through November 20th, you'll be helping out Len's family as well. LenPeraltaStore.com. That is not a paid promotional announcement. That's just me passing this along because we like Len and he's on the show every Friday. Thank you, Patrick Beja, for joining us. What do you got going on?
Tomorrow we're recording a new episode of DTNS Labs Games, where we're going to be talking about all the games from the year and basically try to tell everyone what they are and why they should care, and if they're for your kids or things like that. That should be available on the feed fairly soon. And we just recorded, actually, an episode of the Phileas Club where I let 4 fantastic women talk about life as a woman. We had Alison Sheridan from that listeners might know. We had Wendy Dunford, Scott's sister, and 2 others. And it was an interesting experience. It was a little bit awkward at time for me, but I think we at least did an okay job at getting stories that are worth listening to. So I hope you go and check it out and get something out of it. It's available at FrenchSpin.com. And yeah, that's me.
Go and vote. We need to know what you want us to do for our holiday special. We have 3 of them picked. We need your help picking a fourth. Go to patreon.com/DTNS. Look for the vote on the holiday special theme. You don't have to even be a patron to vote. You will have to create a Patreon account. That's to prevent botting and stuff like that. But get over there and vote now at patreon.com/DTNS.
We also like to hear from you. Anything we talk about, you have questions, you have comments, you got an update. We want it all. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com is our email address. We're, of course, live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. Thanks to everybody who joins us live. And, of course, if you need to catch up with us or visit us for any reason, our website is dailytechnewsshow.com.
I believe it's Patrick Norton and Scott Johnson tomorrow. Talk to you then.
Woo!
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Excellent.
Sorry, spaced on filling out the names. I normally try to do it ahead of time, but like
It's always better when you do it ahead of time, but I got you. No worries. What should we call this episode?
Compuserve still has forums.
The biggest story of the show. Wait, hold. What?
DTNS comes to
I have to. I must admit, when I read the article, I was like, CompuServe? Huh.
I figured vestiges of CompuServe were still around, but it was pretty fascinating to go to the CompuServe forums.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was like, definitively CompuServe had already died. I was like, I don't really know. But yeah, well, AOL.
Chip off the old Face ID. DTNS Quantum, now only with 16 tabs open. Your phone's mom. Apple says you're sleeping wrong. Tom's virtuality.
Tom, when you said 16 tabs, is that because like anytime you close your browser, you know you need 16 minimum tabs to have open at one time?
Oh, no, I just counted them.
Okay. I thought maybe it was like that was just your workflow. Like,
no, this is the, I was like, these are all the tabs I always have open. How many of them are there? There's 16 of them.
Well, yeah. Okay. So kind of the same thing. I would say, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 8. I wouldn't need 16.
I have 8 usually.
But they're like, I would say 10 tabs that if they're not all open and in a particular order, I'm like, I'm not.
EA as evil as a service. EA is going down on Reddit. EA to Reddit. You mad, bro. You've been CompuServed. You old enough to remember the browser wars, bait and switch boxes. The gameling aspect is loot. Gravitationally incorrect tiger.
That's not bad.
Your phone
pretty good.
CompuServe still has forums is at the top.
What do we like?
I like those.
All of those that he read?
No. CompuServe. I was thinking plural forums. I like those.
I like those forums.
Titles.
Good forums.
Kombucha has forums.
Kombucha probably does have forums. That's not a forum I need to belong to because it'll just be another rat hole.
Compuserve.
Well, the fact that the actual forum that I clicked into when I clicked through to the CompuServe forums from the story I read about it first this morning was about it was a book club, gave me hope for Sword and Laser. I'm like, wow, if a book club can persist on CompuServe forums for all this time, Sword and Laser will never die.
That's right.
It'd be the vampire book clubs. I do like gravitationally incorrect tiger too, but
I really like it.
I don't know. Roger?
I mean, I kind of swerve toward CompuServe still has forums.
Motion carried.
Okay.
Which one?
Thanks, Raj.
one
Compuserve
at the top.
lives.
Oh.
It lives. It lives. Stab it in the eye. Stab it in the eye.
Oh, I like EA as evil as a service.
Evil EA. That's funny. I feel like I used something like that during the whole Sim City thing. CompuServe still has forums? Gravitationally incorrect tiger. See, it only makes me laugh.
Well, that's not nothing.
Right. Laugh like no one's watching.
All right. I guess I'm gonna run. I'm exhausted.
Oh,
Run to you.
See, you're not jet lagged anymore. I can tell because you're actually tired at this time of night.
Well, I might be exhausted because I haven't been sleeping because I'm jet lagged.
That too. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Patrick.
Ladies
Bye,
and gentlemen.
Patrick.
Talk
Have a
to you
great
soon.
night.
Bye.
Patrons, keep an eye out for that DTNS Labs. Au revoir. Au revoir. Glad Patrick's not here to have.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Horse divorce.
Hey, so we got a nice email. Where was that email?
Got an email, chicken.
About the post show yesterday.
Oh, about our reminiscing like people at a
I saw
diner
that
counter.
too.
Can you guys? Oh, there it is. Childhood memories from North Phoenix guy. Love today's show when you guys were talking about the Love Boat. Are You Being Served? 321 Contact, the Bloodhound Gang, and all the other kids shows you were talking about. I was singing along with you guys, and my friend who was with me at the time had no idea what I was talking about. Great conversation. Brought back lots of memories. Memories. Do you remember You Can't Do That on Television?
Yes, I watched
Tell
exactly
Roger-
one episode.
Tell Roger that Newton's Apple host was Ira Flatow.
Ira Flato? I think it's Ira Flato.
Flato.
I just remember him wearing a lot of sweater vests and sweaters.
By the way, it's great having Sarah on the show now. She's great.
Oh, well, thank you.
One more thing, and I know he wasn't on today's show, but is it me or does Justin Robert Young sound like Brian Brushwood?
What? No, I don't think they sound
me.
different.
Not to me at all.
Brian has a higher pitched voice, kind of, to me.
It's not high pitched, but I know what you mean. Like Justin's voice is a little lower in the register, slightly.
Yeah. Which would put Brian's higher.
Yeah, but one might hear what you just said and interpret it to mean you thought Brian sounded like this, which is not what you meant.
Ah, but that isn't my issue. That's just someone who thinks high pitched.
But then Brian will hear that and go, "What did Roger say about me?" And then you guys fight. I just don't
If
want
that happens, you should set up your webcam and record and make it a Patreon level.
You see Patreon levels everywhere.
Patreon per view.
Well, for anyone who likes a little feline post show, this is the guy who makes Studio Feline run in the background.
That's Sam.
Yeah. Say hi to the kids.
There'd be no Studio Feline without the feline.
Why do you look so weird? Right.
Tired,
Right.
sleepy.
The feline. It really puts the feline in Studio Feline. Nice face.
I don't think he
now
liked
you wanna be
having
part of
attention
this
called
too.
to him. He's like, no, I work in the background. Stop.
He's like, I just
Like
want
calling attention to segues.
I just want to press buttons.
See your TD.
I just want to, do speed tests.
I'm working here.
Regular cat stuff.
Yeah. Like most cats.
Yeah.
So, okay. I want to show you something, and I absolutely can't do that. I want to tell you something, and I know Eileen doesn't watch these things. But I
How do you
probably
know
shouldn't
that for
do
sure?
You just don't, do you?
You don't really know. I bet she does.
Pretty sure she doesn't. But today would be the day she did.
You have to like start dropping like these little things where you're like, if she was listening, she would go.
There was one day that I got suspicious because I mentioned microwaving fish, and you and Roger were like, "You microwaved fish? Like, doesn't that just stink up the whole house?" I'm like, "I don't know. It seems fine." And that evening, Eileen came home, and it's not the first time I microwaved fish, but it was the first time she said, "Did you microwave fish?" I'm like, "You never mentioned it before."
We used to.
But I mean, she also might have just been like, "Smells like you microwave fish."
Yeah, but
Not because
like there have been other days that I had microwaved fish that she didn't remark on it.
You know, there are some lunchrooms in some offices that explicitly have signs like "No fish in the microwave."
No, yeah, that's what we talked about that day. Exactly.
In fact, I've seen that at more than one office in the last couple of years where, you know, someone was just like, "That's enough. There will be no microwaving of fish." And then, like, somebody prints out something.
Which is too bad because people should eat more fish. Microwaving fish, you know, is perfectly acceptable on the eating end of it. It's just there ought to be a better way. There has to be a better way.
Nuke it at home, bring it in.
The thing is, if you're the person that's eating the fish after it's been microwaved, it's fine.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, like it's not like it doesn't work. It's the
odor.
It's
and the
odor
other thing
without the yummy association. That
if everyone in the office ate microwaved fish at lunch, it would become acceptable, right? People would get used to it. Be like, "Oh, it's just the smell of microwave fish. We all do it." But because it's so unusual, people are like, "Oh, I hate fish. Gross. Don't want to smell that."
It's not that unusual. I've always got leftover fish, but I don't microwave
but it's unusual
it
for
in
people
a public
to microwave
place
it,
or, you know,
take a half a lemon and squeeze the juice on top of the fish.
Doesn't help.
Doesn't heat it up.
Does not make it not smell like fish.
Oh, it doesn't. You're saying that would help with the microwaving, Roger?
No. After you microwave, just squeeze it right on right after.
Oh, TVZ Gun says put the fish in a Ziploc bag and then boil water around the fish in the Ziploc bag.
Isn't the plastic going to leach into the water though? And
well, you're not eating the water. The water's just boiling the bag.
Yeah, but you're boiling.
It's basically
plastic.
like it's a poor man's sous vide.
No, true. I mean, I don't know if that's safe. Go for it. It seems like I always stay away from plastic things. I like microwave everything in glass because I'm worried about, you know, eating.
Just get a poke bowl and have the fish raw.
That's not the point. That's like go order something else.
And now I'm gonna have a poke bowl later.
Go get that Esperanto poke bowl.
That's my new business idea.
Poke
bowl, but in Esperanto. Do you know how to order?
It has a white fish that is common to all cultures.
You can't have one.
TV's Egon says in the chat room, no, use a microwave to boil the water separately.
Oh, then put
after the water's boiled, and then put the bag in.
I see.
But
and then
the bag would still melt in the hot water, wouldn't it?
No, it not
like a freezer bag.
Melt.
Couldn't. Yeah,
a bag shouldn't melt. If it does, you got other issues.
Yeah,
it shouldn't melt at the temperature water boils.
Oh, all right. Kind of cool. It's a cool little life hack.
Yeah. Or just set up a sous vide unit in your break room.
Yeah, just do that.
Start the fish at 6 that morning. By 1, it should be great.
Or work in a restaurant that has a lot of seafood or something in it, and you can hide the smell.
Get another job. Again, not a practical solution. the idea
solution. It's not an ideal solution.
Hunter's idea is like eat something else for lunch. How about that? Yeah. That'll solve your problem.
That's not a solution.
Isn't it though? You're gonna bring that fictional fish right into the office.
Stop eating fish. That'll solve your problem.
Right.
No, you eat fish. Just eat it at home. Or
there's a really good sushi place down the street. Maybe I'll go over there for a little late lunch. Sorry, guys. Right around this time, I get so hungry.
No, it's okay. Joe, who is the guy who helps me shoot the Tech Republic top 5 videos that I do, always sends me a song title themed text when he's on his way here, and we're going to shoot as soon as we're done with the show. And they're getting better every week. This time he said, "Man, the Uber driver was really glad you don't live where the streets have no name."
Yeah.
The U2 song, where the streets have no name.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good story, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Good story.
Good story.
Uh,
Made me laugh. Staunchly ambivalent.
Sorry. Speaking of tabs, I got tab crazy and shut myself right out of Hangouts.
Oh, wow. I didn't have Hangouts forward. I was wondering why you went suddenly silent.
That was my closing of the Hangouts tab.
Yeah, I've done that before where I've been in a Skype call and I'm trying to I don't want things to get in the way of the bandwidth of Skype. I should close a bunch of things and I'll close Skype.
Yeah.
I've done that at least once where I'm like, oh wait, that sort of defeats the purpose.
I mean, the thing with the new Firefox is not being able to use Hangouts is like.
Yeah, I know. I was all excited because I was going to do the Hangout. Yeah.
It's just kind of like, it's not really a good workflow. I want it to be all or nothing, especially if I make it my default browser.
I know. Well, folks.
Life is tough.
Yeah. Life. Don't talk to me about life.
Life gives you a bunch of chocolate.
Don't talk to Tom about life. Tom knows a lot about life.
Say everybody, we are going to leave now, but we'll be back tomorrow. So don't move. Just stay where you are until tomorrow, about 22 hours from now. We'll be back, okay?
And I'm going to be on Night Attack tonight. So anybody who wants to watch 7 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to be on the front page of twitch.com, which is, that's very cool for the Night Attack folks. So, yeah.
Problem solvers. Go check it out.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.